What's up, guys? Today we're working on the 66 Mustang, and we're gonna do a one wire alternator upgrade. And I picked this up pretty cheap, very good deal on OfferUp for $100. It's a 150 Power Master, and I already changed out the pulley here. This car uses a V-band type, so we're not gonna use that. But this car has the idle's not that great because it has a little choppy cam in it, so I really think this alternator will help it while it's idling. So let's do that. Let's get into it. Alright, so we're on the bench, and all we got to do now is take this pulley off and put it on this one, and that should be it. Let's do it. Alright guys, so I put the original fan on here. I also tried the one that the car had, but when I put the pulley back on, check that out. It doesn't leave any room for the washer and the bolt. So I think what I'm gonna do is sand this down a bit. That way I can get that little clearance that I need to put the bolt on. So I'll do that real quick and let's get it going. Took some material off the top there, and looks like it's gonna work out now. Let's see. Yep. So we're gonna torque this to 70 foot-pounds as it says on the instructions. So let's. All right, pulley's all done. Check that out. We're gonna measure the spacing on the pulleys to make sure that they're good. But let's go work on the wiring and let's get this mounted. So check this out. These are the two wires that were connected to the alternator, and here's the plug. It's melted together. So I'm gonna have to take that off really quick. Okay, so the connection's off. At this point I can just cover this up with some black tape and install the alternator, but I don't really know the condition of this wiring for this car, so I think I'm just gonna chase it down. This is probably a connection to the voltage regulator. So I'm probably gonna chase it down and see if I can remove this whole little wire harness there. There's some nice connectors here. So yeah, I'm just gonna clean this stuff up. I'm gonna take all this little harness right here, this voltage regulator. It's just no use for it, and it's not done right. So all right, so I pulled the whole wiring harness here, and the way the Mustang is set up is there's a little channel in there. Pretty much can't get to it, so it's kind of a pain to take it out, but this is a very good chance to take a look at your wiring and make sure there's no big cuts or big splices on it. But now we can see where the voltage regulator is attached to, and we can pretty much take off that whole harness and keep what we want. So I'm going to take out these unnecessary wires and then loom it back through that little channel that's on the bottom and back to that starter solenoid. The main thing I would say is just to take a lot of pictures of your wiring on the starter solenoid. That way everything goes back together how it's supposed to. If you guys have the original Ford wiring, these are the cables that I removed. It's going to be the cream colored cable and the yellow cable. All that comes off, and we're pretty much just gonna scrap this. This is not gonna be used anymore. So the two wires are back to the starter solenoid right here. I soldered these two wires where I had to cut it back together. One quick note, when I took off the voltage regulator, you're gonna have a green wire with the red stripe right here, and that is for the alternator light, the dummy light, and the dash. With this alternator, I don't think it's compatible, so just gonna tape that off. But let's get the alternator ready and let's get it mounted. Here's the two wires connected. The instructions call for a 10 gauge wire on the positive side and a 6 gauge on the ground side. This is a 4 gauge, that's all they had at the store. So we're just gonna connect this to the engine block, and then this will go to the starter solenoid positive side. So there you go. More of a 2 wire, it's not really a 1 wire per se, but there you go, let's get it done. Alternator is in, everything's installed. Ran into a couple problems. The first one was this spacer here. And I had to do what I had to do. I used a socket to get that right measurement. The old one was way too short, and there's nothing around my area that was even close to the size. I think that's a special order. It's a 2.5-inch spacer. So once that comes in, I'll swap it out. But for now, it's working perfect. The other problem I had was the lower alternator bracket right there. The fan, if you can see, was hitting that bracket. So I had to take it off, and I used the grinder to grind it down a little bit. And that seemed to fix the problem. So only thing I'll say is once you have everything installed, just spin the engine by hand and make sure that it doesn't hit any of your other pulleys or brackets. So my mistake, I should have done that first. Apart from that, everything's working pretty good. Kind of cleaned up the engine bay a little bit. No more voltage regulator, but it's working really nice now. This is my 66 Mustang. It was my first ever car I bought. And yeah, also we got this Torino here. And then there's that Galaxy project. So if you guys like the content, you guys like the videos, please subscribe and follow the build, the Galaxy build especially. But that's it. Thanks, guys.